Have you ever bought a new book, read it for the first time, and wanted to read it again? You love it madly, but when you read it over and over, the first emotions disappear, right? And you, once sinking headlong into its pages, continue to praise it, tell your friends and acquaintances about it, read it again, but this time is not the same as the first time. It is the same with falling in love. The best period in a relationship is the candy bouquet period. This is when you feel attraction mixed with passion to each other. Vibes soar from you all over the air. You exude happiness and passion. A little more and you seem to explode from overflowing emotions from the first kiss. Have you ever thought that the first kiss can always be the first? That you can fall in love with the same person all your life? Do you think this is cool? I'll tell you the other side of the coin. My name is Iris. I am the most ordinary girl who grew up in an ordinary family. After graduating from college, my friends and I decided to take a short vacation and then look for work. At the insistence of my parents, I studied economics, but I didn't like it at all. My hobby is photography. Yes, I love to photograph people, animals, nature, myself, anything. I was planning to enroll in professional photography courses. My friends, sisters Rachel and Gabby, suggested me to spend a week at their parents' country house. I didn't really want to go there, but they lured me with the beauty of the area. You'll have something to look at and something to capture, they said. I agreed, of course. We packed our things and drove there that evening. Upon arrival, a fabulous corner was really waiting for us. Their parents' house was located almost in the very heart of the forest. Tall trees rose up and danced a dance with their branches in the direction of the wind. There was a special atmosphere, fresh air, bird songs. And when the sun set over the horizon, the orange-red sky covered everything around. I adored this shade. It gave its mood. As soon as I got out of the car, I immediately took out my camera and took a couple of shots. Later, the girls cooked pasta and then opened up the wine. We wanted to have a heart-to-heart chat, cry a little. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that our Gabby was recently dumped by boyfriend, and therefore we lived through the pain of parting with her to make her feel better. The evening was really nice. Gabby poured her heart out, and then, it seems, we went too far with the wine. Gabby started crying very hard, and told me how jealous she was I had never loved in my life. To tell you the truth, it hit me hard. I didn't want her to feel unpleasant, so I didn't say anything, but in fact, I really hadn't been in a relationship before. No, they were guys, but I never felt with them what they describe in books or in movies. I felt good with them, but after a couple of months I usually dumped them and forgot about them. It was comfortable for me that way. But for some reason, it seems to me you will fall in love with someone soon. And very much, said the half-asleep Rachel. I just smiled. The next day, we decided to make a picnic in a forest glade. The weather just prompted this idea, and at the same time, I arranged the promised photo session for the girls. Later, we decided to play cards, but they were not there. Then Gabby suggested going to the nearest store. The girls bought some groceries, and I was choosing a new battery for the camera. These are the most powerful ones. I think they will suit you, the seller said. I looked up and saw a red-haired guy. He was staring at me so strange for some reason that I felt uneasy. Okay, I said shortly, and took them. As soon as we paid off and walked out the door, Rachel started yelling how handsome he was, why she hadn't seen him before, and Gabby added that he clearly fell for me. I denied everything, and then I said that redheads are not my type. To somehow change the subject, I suggested going to the river in the afternoon. We ran home, took our swimwear, and went swimming. Literally half an hour later, our quiet company was moved by 3 guys, among whom was that red-haired salesman. He came up to us and held out a basket of fruit. The girls thanked him, and then somehow, suddenly, our companies merged. I sat on the sidelines and watched my friends flirting with 2 guys, but that salesman came up to me. He tried to start some kind of stupid dialogue. He didn't succeed. It just made me laugh. Finally, he asked about my camera, how long I have been interested in it. Well, as for me, I found out that he does not have any long-term hobby. Life is short, and I take something new from it every day. I don't know what awaits me tomorrow, so I live in the present moment, he said. Personally, it seemed to me that this is an excuse phrase for idlers and very frivolous people. But on the other hand, why should I care? He's a stranger to me. Suddenly, Redheaded Timmy, or as I called him Redhead, and I were hit by drops of water. Before I could look back, he pushed me into the water. Then the complete madness began. To be honest, I had a lot of fun. I haven't laughed that much for a long time. We spent almost half the day on the river, and then froze a little, went home, changed our clothes, and the boys invited us to dinner. Fry sausages over a fire and eat them with soda. Cool. I was not a supporter of healthy eating. I love to eat. The evening turned out to be even more interesting and fun. We sat around the fire, played games, talked, got to know each other. Redhead was very interested in me. It even seemed creepy. There was even a feeling that he was trying to absorb all the information about me, but he did not tell anything concrete about himself. The girls asked to take a picture of them, and I took my camera in my hands, and then me and Redhead were photographed together. After dinner, he asked to go for a walk with him. You know, Iris, what I'm going to tell you now will seem strange, but the fact is that I do not live an ordinary life. As I said before, every day is new for me, and I really want a day like today to continue tomorrow. What do you think about this? He asked. Well, what about me? Yes. It was also pleasant and fun for me to spend time like this. I told him about it directly and smiled. Then he kissed me and asked me to show him our joint photo tomorrow. We came home with the girls and for a couple of hours shared our impressions of such a spontaneous day. They offered us to go karting tomorrow. We'll go, right? Rachel asked me, and I agreed. Gabby said that she noticed a kind of sympathy between me and Redhead, and I told her about our kiss. The girls were so happy, as if I had won the lottery. He's cool, friends buzzed. The next day, we gathered and arrived at the appointed place. The boys stood and waited for Redhead. He came up to us and greeted everyone as if he saw us all for the first time. I waved my hand at him and winked my eye, as if saying, "Hey, I'm here, come closer to me." But he again stood and looked at me like I was a fool. I was very embarrassed. My mood dropped sharply and I hardly spoke to anyone. I see what it is. After the first kiss, everything ended immediately, I thought. The girls went karting in pairs, and I had to sit next to Timmy. At one point, he stared at me, putting me in an awkward position again. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a very good driver, and I'm afraid, aren't you? I asked, and he told me, life is short, and I take something new from it every day. I don't know what awaits me tomorrow, so I live in the moment. My mind got confused, and I exploded. What? Yes, you told me the same thing yesterday. Do you think I'm stupid? Already forgot everything, right? You act like an idiot, as if there was nothing between us, I screamed. Timmy blinked quickly, and then, seeing the camera on my chest, asked if I was doing photography. Oh, this question killed me even more. I was just beside myself with anger. You know what, Redhead? If you don't want to communicate, say it. Don't just make a fool out of me and ask the same question. I shouted at him, then started the cart. Suddenly, he shouted, "Wait!" I stopped. He ran up to me and asked, "Did I, by chance, ask you to show me our photo yesterday?" I got confused at the end and threw a photo by the fire in his face. "So I didn't tell you yesterday," he whispered to himself. I began to ask what was going on, and what I heard threw me into shock. It seemed to me it was his stupid joke. That doesn't happen, does it? It turned out that Timmy had Alzheimer's. So that you understand, this is a disease of the nervous system. This is when the brain tissue gradually dies off, and yet, this disease cannot be cured. There is no medicine for it. The person looks ordinary, like everyone else, but often they have memory lapses due to dysfunction in the brain. That is, you wake up, live an ordinary life, fall asleep at night, and do not remember anything. When he began to tell me this, I suddenly felt awful that this had happened to him. We often see old people with this diagnosis, when they do not recognize their relatives, when they put a hot iron in the fridge, glasses in the microwave, and so on. But here I saw a young, handsome guy in his prime and age. Why did it happen? Tears rolled from my eyes. Redhead hurried to get a handkerchief out of his pocket. I laughed, saying that he had not forgotten to take his handkerchief with him. Timmy explained that this is a matter of habit that the body does automatically. This is something that cannot be forgotten still. Friends drove up to us at this point. They saw us sitting and crying and understood everything. I wiped away my tears, got up, took Redhead by the hand, and we went for a walk. You know, many times he asked me the same questions, but I answered as if I had heard them for the first time. No, I didn't want to seem polite or hypocritical. I did it from the bottom of my heart. I really liked Redhead. He was special. So what? His friends helped me a lot at first. They gave me advice on how to adjust. We have been friends with him for several years, and we see each other almost every day. And every time we come to his house, he tells us he does not need to buy sports facilities. And once we looked so bad after a rough party that he gave us alms when he saw us in his yard and walked past, the guy said, laughing. There were many sad moments in his diagnosis. I found out that he had a bride. They had been dating for almost a year and dreamed of getting married. It all started with little things. He forgot the keys, jacket, forgot to call. But when on one night he woke up in his house with her, he looked into her face and asked scaredly who she was and what she was doing there. She was confused. And then when such cases became more frequent, she realized she could no longer live like this. She packed up and left. At first he grieved, then he forgot all about her, as if she was not in his life. Timmy did not have a father, and his mother died from the same disease. She left him her shop in the house. The only support that remained with him was his friends. They are his guardians. They confessed to me that they really wanted their friend to fall in love, in the hope that love is the best medicine. The next day, I went to his store, and he looked up at me with the same look again. I only realized later that it was a loving look. Every single day we got introduced with Timmy again, and he looked at me like that. Every day he fell in love with me again and again. Every time he kissed me with trepidation, gave me flowers, and made compliments. We fell in love with each other so much that feelings became stronger than the circumstances. We have learned to deal with difficulties, neighbors' gossip, redheads' panic attacks. The only thing I didn't want to put up with was the fact that he was dying. That was happening slowly. Death was taking him away from me, bit by bit, day after day. But I'm still grateful to fate for a meeting, and in the end, I found a way to immortalize my redhead forever. I photographed him every day, and then I filled the whole room with our photos, and every time he woke up, he saw our love story on the wall, on the ceiling, on the framed table, in the bathroom, and on the fridge. Everything reminded him of us. And even if my love can't heal him, at least he is happy.